This week, the first images from the upcoming Captain Marvel movie, including pictures of Captain Marvel herself, hit the internet, and they might end up telling us more than we thought they could about both Captain Marvel and the upcoming Avengers movie and kind of all the plans for the upcoming future films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Welcome to Pretty Dece, your daily entertainment and pop culture show. And today on the show, we are talking about Captain Marvel because Wednesday of this week, Entertainment Weekly revealed their cover of their upcoming magazine, which features the first real look at Brie Larson as Captain Marvel in the full Captain Marvel getup. We get to see the whole costume. People are pretty excited. She looks really good. The costume looks exactly what you expect. It looks like Captain Marvel. They've really done a good job of translating comic to screen here. In addition to the cover, we got a smattering of other still images from the Captain Marvel film, which actually kind of we can read into quite a bit. We got an image of Jude Law. We'll talk about what character we think he's playing coming up. We got an image of Jackson Lee Pace. He played Ronan the Accuser in the Guardians of the Galaxy film, and he'll be in that role in this film as well. And we got an image of Jimon Hounsou, who played Korath from the Guardians films as well. So really mixing in a lot of that mythology from Guardians of the Galaxy for this Captain Marvel film. Now, the crazy thing about this film, and the reason that we can see someone like Ronan the Accuser, is that this film is set in the 90s. So much before all of the other events and happenings in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this film was set way back in the past. So not only can we see some characters who, you know, in the future are dead, we can see them kind of return here and know who they are, and kind of this is their sort of first appearance chronologically in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We can also get some really interesting things like a young Nick Fury without the eye patch before the incident happened to lead to him having to wear an eye patch. So expect lots of cool little Easter eggs there as we see younger versions of characters, or characters that are much different than we know them kind of in modern times. Really excited to see some of that stuff. We're also getting Agent Coulson back in this film, apparently. Of course, Agent Coulson died in the Marvel movies, but was then resurrected for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, but hasn't reappeared yet in the movies, despite being alive. It's a very complicated back and forth reality of whether he's living or dead, but since this film was set in the past, we get to skip all of that. He gets to be alive, because guess what? Agent Coulson was alive in the 90s. There's no debate. Being set so far in the past, I think, is actually really interesting. We've never seen the Marvel Cinematic Universe from this side. We've never seen what's going on in the MCU way back then. And I feel like they can tell a really cool, interesting story in the 90s, of course, in an era before cell phones and before Facebook and before Twitter. It's a lot different. Stories that happen in that world are a lot different. And that is that happening on Earth while also mixed with all this kind of crazy spacefaring superhero, evil alien stuff that's going on in the Captain Marvel film. So lots of interesting stuff, and hopefully it's more interesting than just seeing Brie Larson wear a Nine Inch Nails shirt here and there to make you think that it's the 90s. Hopefully they really utilize the full extent of that time period. Now, in the wake of these images coming out, we've also found out a bit more about the film. We know that it won't be just an origin story. Obviously, they'll have to tell us who Captain Marvel is to some extent, but the synopsis of the plot that Entertainment Weekly put out is that Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, is back on Earth, and she has questions about her past. So we know in the film she's already left Earth. She's already joined up with the Kree military, the Kree being one of the big main alien races that show up all the time in various Marvel comics. And actually, Carol Danvers is half Kree herself, so she runs out of Earth and she joins up with their military, and now as the film starts out, she's back on Earth, still with lots of questions, still trying to figure out who she is. And the movie, of course, from the still image and from the little plot synopsis, is that she seems like she's going to go head to head with the Skrulls, which is, of course, the other big alien race that shows up a lot in Marvel Comics. Now, the Skrulls are an evil alien race. They typically are bad news. And what's interesting about the Skrulls is they are shapeshifters. The Skrulls are awesome. They're one of my favorite villains in Marvel Comics because they are just this like evil alien race which are really fun to hate, but also with them being shapeshifters, they can look like literally anyone at literally any time. The comics had a storyline that was actually very good called Secret Invasion that focused around just that, the Skrulls showing up and taking over the place of various superheroes. You didn't know who was real, who was a Skrull, everyone was second guessing everyone else, and in some cases they had been deep cover in the superheroes and living as the superheroes for years on end, for a very long time. So it's a very cool concept. It makes everyone kind of infight and makes everyone hate each other and gives that conflict that you really want in a superhero film. So there's the potential that some of the people that we saw in Infinity War and maybe even earlier in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies were not who we thought they were and were actually Skrulls in disguise. Could have been something they had been planting all this time. Nonetheless, it kind of seems like Skrulls are going to show up here in Captain Marvel in a very big way, and I would imagine that storyline focusing on Skrulls and what they're disguised as and what they're doing will feature probably heavily in Avengers 4 and on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I doubt that the Skrulls are a force that we're really going to handle and take care of and not have to worry about anymore after a single Captain Marvel movie. Now, back to Jude Law, who we see in this film. People are thinking that Jude Law is playing Mar-Vell, and Mar-Vell is the original Captain Marvel. Before Carol Danvers took on the mantle of Captain Marvel, she was Miss Marvel, and then she became Captain Marvel. So Mar-Vell could be here in a teaching role, kind of passing the mantle on, or maybe something different. Maybe they're mixing it up. Maybe he's more adversarial. We really don't know kind of what his aspect's going to be, but I don't think you cast someone like Jude Law without that being a very big, meaty role for him to sink his teeth into. But either way, I'm very excited to find out exactly what the nature of his character is and kind of what he's up to. I also hope in this film we spend some time off-planet. That's definitely one of my favorite things about the Marvel movies. I love their particular brand of cosmic goings-ons. I like all the alien races. I like seeing all the crazy stuff like in Guardians of the Galaxy. So while the movie does seem to be like it's set on Earth, or at least starting on Earth, I hope we do get some shots of Captain Marvel in space, meeting aliens, doing all that fun stuff, because it is one of the things that I like the most about Marvel movies, that they can kind of branch out and kind of do that sort of a thing in space on the cosmic side. Nonetheless, I'm really excited about this film from these first few images that we see. There's not a ton to go on, but we can definitely start speculating, and I cannot wait to finally get our first teaser trailer, which is coming up in just a month or so. So hopefully, we won't have to wait too much longer, and we'll get to see more of Captain Marvel. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thank you very much for joining me to talk about these first images from Captain Marvel. Remember that you can support Pretty Dece with a small monetary donation. You can help keep the lights on, help keep this show running. You can be just as cool as our newest supporter, Sean. Thank you very much, Sean, for supporting Pretty Dece. You can visit prettydeceshow.com/listener support to find out all of those details. Of course, you can listen to Pretty Dece everywhere. You can get a podcast, all your favorite podcast delivery platforms, check it out there. Or you can watch Pretty Dece, the video version, by searching for Pretty Dece on YouTube or visiting prettydeceshow.com/video. And of course, you can hit me up on social media. Love talking to you guys. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @PrettyDeceShow.